Have you ever tried to improve your golf game by taking lessons, either in person or online, or simply by watching some video tutorials on the internet, only to find you're unable to implement the changes suggested, or that you're unable to make those changes stick for any meaningful period of time, only to revert right back to square one? If that sounds like you, then this video right here could well be the most important golf video that you've ever watched on YouTube. Today I'm going to outline why golfers struggle to make any meaningful, sustainable changes in their golf swing and show you exactly how to implement the process that I use in every single lesson that I teach, whether in person or online, to ensure students not only make changes, but make them stick for good. So we're going to cut through all the noise and pretending that you can make swing changes in an instant. You really can't make any meaningful swing change in one or two swings. Sure, you can influence how someone moves, but their ability to take that swing change and use it on the golf course is practically zero unless the time has been spent putting in the repetitions. I liken my system here to that of the progressive overload system that you'd see people in the gym using as they improve their strength over time. I'm going to share with you the system that I use to help golfers achieve similar improvements in their skill. We should start out by understanding that what dictates how a golfer moves is the knowledge of the task at hand. And all too often, golfers have a very poor concept of what they're supposed to do. Partly conceptually, they don't really know what they're supposed to do, but certainly from an anatomical standpoint, how to move their body and orientate themselves in space differently than they currently are. What that leads to is a complete confusion about what to do, and ultimately it really just leads to golfers reverting back to the old pattern that they've always had. Let me start by showing you exactly how you can begin to implement this process into whatever part of your swing you're currently trying to work on. So in this first example, I'm going to pick a part of the swing that many of you will likely be familiar with and also be trying to change yourselves. That would be your swing path, or the direction you swing the club. I just made a swing there that was excessively to the left, which would result in shots that are pulled to the left and maybe begin to start fading or even slicing to the right. That might be far too familiar to many of you watching. The swing direction on that particular swing was 10.5 degrees to the left. That means I was swinging this club 10 degrees across. As I said, that's a pretty inefficient way of hitting the ball. Despite that shot fading back towards the target, it only carried 133 yards. This is my 7-iron. That's a good 40 yards shy of where it should be. So I would look at trying to improve that area of my swing if my swing direction was 10 degrees to the left. Now I'm going to show you exactly how to set that up so you can train to improve that part of your swing for good. So what you must understand at this stage is you have to set up some sort of practice station, some controlled environment from which to hit balls to ensure that you're making the changes that you want to. Remember, the movement is really defined by the knowledge of the task. If you don't know what you're supposed to do, how on earth are you expected to do it? Putting in constraints and building practice stations like this is an absolute non-negotiable in my world. And if this looks like too much work or too complicated for you, then it's probably time you clicked off of this video. There are no shortcuts to making real improvements. Take the time to set something up, and you'll reap those rewards 10 times, tenfold. It will be so much faster when you actually start to see the improvements that you're looking for, rather than trying to shortcut and fast track your way by going to the range and beating another bucket of balls. So in this exact example where I'm working on swing direction, I've set up this training station and it's extremely specific. I have an angled soft noodle here on the back side of my swing, and I have the same angled noodle here set up on the front side, and I've organized those in such a way that if I was to place a ball in the center here, I've got some constraint here for my club coming over the top in the downswing, which we know was the problem that I was demonstrating, and at the same time that stick on the front side would also provide an obstacle and a barrier for my club swinging too much across the ball in the follow through. I've set this up in such a way where this noodle is approximately 1 club head width outside of the golf ball, and this one is set up approximately 1 club head width inside of the golf ball. I've created this small channel from which I can swing through. The window of opportunity here in terms of where you can move is much smaller than people think. So putting in constraints is, as I say, an absolutely critical measure if you're serious about improving. Now that we've set this training station up, let me show how you work through your levels to build up the skill and develop that progressive overload analogy that I was alluding to earlier. Step one is to perform the task with a smaller, slower swing, and to begin with, even without the ball. Learn to navigate and move yourself through this training station successfully. Those of you who are looking at this again saying, well, it won't really work for me, I'm a field player. I want to tell you that we are all field players. I promise you, we are all field golfers at the end of the day. But what you need to be able to do is to create the mechanics that you want to produce the shot you want and allow the feeling of those correct mechanics to produce the shot that you want ultimately. You can't just stand there with any random feel and hope that it's going to work. The likelihood of that being successful is almost zero. So the mechanics produce the shot we want, and the feeling of the correct mechanics that I'm learning here, remember, I'm learning the feeling of the correct mechanics by conforming to this training station. The feelings that I get here are the ones that I transfer with me onto the golf course. Once we've established the fact that I can perform that task without the ball, I'm going to introduce the ball and just work into this slowly, missing the noodle on the backside, the downswing, and then staying above this noodle on the front side. I know just with the way that felt that my swing direction is going to be much more to the right. In fact, in that example, I've overdone it. I've gone more to the right than I needed to. But for those of you who suffer with a 10-degree swing direction to the left, it's great that you can produce something that exaggerates and moves to the other side. I tell most of you to stay in that slow position and that slow station for a while until you become comfortable with that movement. But then you progress to movement number 2, which is performing the task. This is the next stage, the progressive overload, if you like. For the weightlifter, that might be adding more weight to the rack, lifting more weight, as it were. For the golfer, it's beginning to go faster within the same constraints. So you're going to allow the swing to get longer on both the backside and the front side, and we'll see what happens there to the golfer. Is he able to still conform to this training station while starting to swing a little bit faster? That one felt much more up to speed. There's a really nice shot there. Tiny little push draw. Swing direction was 3 degrees to the right. So I'm really starting to straighten this out. The point I'm making here is you have to work through the levels at your own pace. You can't just stand there and swing at full speed and not expect to fail. If you were to fail this task and start striking the noodles, the instruction from my side would be to reduce the speed. In the weightlifter analogy, it would be to reduce the weight. Once you start to try to lift something that you're not capable of, you've got too much weight on the bar, you're going to lose the form. Therefore, you take the weight down slightly and you start working again. Same would be true for these stations. If you start to struggle and you start to fail, it's because you're going too fast too soon. Take your time to build the station. Take your time to build up through the levels, and you'll be able to sustain these improvements for a much longer period of time. And of course, eventually, you should be able to work yourself up to full speed. That ball's carried 164 yards. That's a pretty standard distance for my 7-iron carry. It's swing speed of 82. I'm getting up pretty close to what I would consider to be maximum, whilst still conforming to the station. So my skill level has continued to increase, and I'm still able to perform the task without striking the station. It's a really important concept for you to get your head around. You must build up at a rate and a speed that you can manage. Ultimately, this is the top end of the training that you would do with the constraints in place. And whilst you're doing that, you're developing each time the feeling that you need to take with you when the constraints are removed. We're hitting these balls and learning the mechanics, the feel, if you like, of the swing that we should be doing, not the swing that you've spent so long doing incorrectly. So this is really how you build up through the levels. Start out slow, progressively increase the speed while still conforming to the constraints. That's how you make a meaningful change to your golf swing. And then the next stage of this progression really would be to start removing the constraints and seeing if you can still perform the swing and get the swing direction numbers that we would want in that swing without the constraints. You'll notice the last swing I made had a swing direction of 0 degrees. That was completely straight. So the training aids and the training station is helping me to build the swing that I want to. The next step would be to take one or both of these away and see if we can still perform without the constraints helping us. And this is obviously going to test my feel. Is my feel strong enough that I can transfer it from when I have the constraints to when I don't? Let's see, we're going to give that a test. We're going to set up to the ball. We're going to try and recreate the same feel that I had when the sticks were in place. That one came off a little bit thin. Felt like the swing direction was pretty good though. There's another 0 degree swing direction. If you notice that the numbers start to move, or said another way, if you're not measuring your swing with TrackMan, if you notice your ball flight starts to regress back to what it looked like before, the chances are you're not conforming to the station. So that's when you can put the sticks back in and continue training in a way that is helping you to make meaningful improvements every single time. And of course, if fixing your swing direction isn't the main concern in your swing, you can build practice stations that work in a very similar way for all sorts of different swing changes you might want to do. This one would be consistent with somebody looking to keep their head more centered in the backswing and maintain a pivot that didn't sway off the ball so much. I've set up a station here with an elevated extended rod that's just going to run to the trail side of my head here. This is the iRange Sports Station, which I use to configure these types of practice stations all the time. Again, starting out with just the knowledge of the task. What am I supposed to do? How can I move this club and my arms around my body in such a way that I don't touch the stick? That would be helping somebody to make a much more centered pivot, which likely was going to help their ball striking consistency. So can I do this swing without touching the stick without a ball? Yes, I can. And then can I progress to doing it with the ball? If you have to start out slowly, remember that's okay. You're starting out with a weight. The analogy of the weightlifter again, you're starting out with a weight that you can manage. You're not trying to lift too heavy too soon. In golfing terms, you're not trying to go too fast too soon. Learn the movement, conform to the station, and hit these balls where you're training that centered pivot. That felt like a really nice contact. And again, as you progress and get better at this, you can start to go faster with the constraint in place, and then ultimately you can remove it and see if you're able to sustain the feeling. Remember, we're all feel golfers at the end of the day, but right now if your feeling is hitting bad golf shots, then you're really just telling me that you're not comfortable with being uncomfortable. You're saying to me that I'm a feel golfer and all this mechanical stuff doesn't work for me. What you're really saying is I don't want to change that much. I don't want to feel uncomfortable for any length of time. That means I've got to make a change which is awkward for me. Put the constraints in place, whatever it might be. Apply this to your practice over the next 6 months and watch your game improve immensely. Guys, if you made it to this point in the video, I want to say thank you and ask you to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video today. Please also get down into the comments and let me know if your training style for golf is consistent with what I recommended today. This is certainly my preference and, in my experience, the way that gets the most meaningful, sustainable results over a long period of time. But if you've experienced something different, do get down into the comments and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. If you're looking for more detailed feedback on your own golf swing and would like to consider taking an online golf lesson from me, you can do so via the Skillist platform. I'll leave the link to the Skillist app down in the description below, where you'll find my profile and the services that I offer. I am teaching hundreds of golfers all over the world to implement these sort of training methods to help them see sustainable, marked improvement for often the first time in their golfing life. If you'd like to experience that sort of change and see the best golf of your life this year, then get down into the description, click on the Skillist profile, and I'll see you over there. If you're looking to improve your ball striking and take it to the next level via a progressive overload style of drill, I made this video right here, which you should go and watch next. This talks about how to control the forces in the golf swing by working up through the stages progressively to hit the ball better than you ever have before.